In the dynamic realm of life sciences, the advent of advanced genetic engineering techniques heralds a new era of innovation and discovery. Aspiring minds in the field of life sciences, particularly those preparing for CSIR NET Life Science examination, are to delve into the intricacies of these cutting-edge methodologies. From CRISPR-Cas9 to synthetic biology, the landscape of genetic manipulation has evolved exponentially, offering unprecedented precision and versatility in altering the fundamental building blocks of life. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Tanushree, and get ready to know about the advanced genetic engineering techniques in this video. So let's first understand what is genetic engineering. The term genetic engineering is generally used to refer to methods of recombinant DNA technology which emerged from basic research in microbial genetics. Genetic engineering refers to the direct manipulation of organisms' DNA, or you can say the artificial manipulation, modification, and recombination of DNA or other nucleic acid molecules to modify an organism or population of organisms. In year 1973, scientists created the first genetically engineered organism when they inserted a gene for antibiotic resistance in Escherichia coli. Escherichia coli bacteria. And since then, the ability to deliberately modify genomes has become increasingly sophisticated. Yet for many years, this was limiting to altering, inserting or deleting one or a few genes at a time. The techniques employed in genetic engineering have led to the production of agriculture important products, medically important products like the human insulin, human growth hormones, vaccines, immune modulators, as well as in agriculture development of genetically modified organisms such as disease-resistant plants, herbicide-resistant plant, insecticide-resistant plant, and more. And even the products which have been generated using recombinant DNA technology, genetic engineering has a lot of potential in food, pharmaceutical and biotech industry. Genetic engineering, from its basic techniques of selective breeding and hybridization to advanced methodologies like genome editing technology such as CRISPR-Cas9 and more, empowers scientists to manipulate the genetic makeup of organisms with unprecedented precision. So here is the glimpse of some of the advanced genetic engineering techniques which is must for every CSIR NET aspirant to know about. So first is genome editing technology like CRISPR-Cas9, then artificial and synthetic chromosome, single cell genomics, gene drives, RNA interference, and synthetic biology. Now let's know about genome editing technology. Genome editing is a type of genetic engineering in which DNA is inserted, deleted, modified or replaced in the genome of a living organism. It's a process where an organism's genetic code is changed. Unlike early genetic engineering techniques that randomly inserts genetic material into a host genome, genome editing targets the insertions to site-specific locations. Genome editing methods let scientists change the DNA of many organisms, including plants, bacteria, and animals. And scientists, they use different genome editing technologies to do this. Editing DNA can lead to changes in physical traits like eye color, disease risk, and more. So what are the core technologies most commonly used to facilitate genome editing? The core technologies are zinc finger nucleases, transcription activator like effector nucleases, and clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats CRISPR associated protein 9, that is CRISPR-Cas9 technology. So how does genome editing works? Genome editing was pioneered in the year 1990s before the advent of the common current nuclease-based genome editing platforms. However, its use was limited by low efficiencies of editing. But with genome editing with nucleases, that is, all three major classes of these enzymes, zinc finger nucleases, transcription activator like effector nucleases, and engineered meganucleases, were selected by Nature Methods as the 2011 and the CRISPR-Cas9 system was selected by Science as 2015 breakthrough of the year. So homing endonucleases, also known as meganucleases, they are capable of cleaving double-stranded DNA at a specific recognition site comprising 14 to 40 base pair. And the meganucleases, these are generated from elements that may be located within introns, intine elements, or from freestanding genes. Zinc finger nucleases, they are by nature engineered nucleases that link the DNA binding domain of eukaryotic transcriptional factors or zinc finger proteins with the nucleus domain of an endonuclease, generally FOC1 restriction enzyme. So FOC1 is restriction enzyme is isolated from Flabobacterium okeanocoides. Then in year 2011, a new gene editing technology emerged which was an improvement over zinc finger nuclease. Transcription activator like effector nucleases. So these transcription activator like effector nucleases, they are structurally similar to zinc finger nucleases. And both the methods, they uses FOC1 nuclease to cut the DNA and require dimerization to function. However, the DNA binding domain may differ. The DNA binding domains differ. So TALENs use FOC1 nuclease to cut DNA and require dimerization to function, and transcription activator like effectors tandem arrays of 33 to 35 amino acid repeats. Then CRISPR-Cas9 technology caused a major stir in the field of genome engineering when it was first described as an editing tool in year 2012, and it has made astounding progress in the intervening years. CRISPR is an elegant two-component system consisting of guide RNA and Cas9 nuclease. Researchers now commonly use CRISPR to manipulate the genome for a variety of applications, including functional genomics, diagnostics, DNA imaging, and therapeutics. With CRISPR, scientists now can customize their guide RNA, and algorithms have been developed to assess the chances of off-target effect. So different editing tools, they act on a similar basic principle. The enzymes are directed to a specific target in the genome by either a guide sequence that is used by CRISPR or by specific DNA binding domains within the nuclease itself, as in zinc finger nuclease or TALEN. Once it recognizes and binds to the target DNA, the nuclease can be used for editing via several pathways. So if the nuclease creates double-strand breaks, the cell will attempt to repair the break via non-homologous end joining, that is NHEJ, or homology-directed repair, that is HDR. Now, NHEJ, that is non-homology end joining, is error-prone and often cause insertions and deletions, that is indels, which can result in gene becoming non-functional. So it results into gene knockout, gene disruption. NHEJ is referred to as non-homologous because the break ends are directly ligated without the need of homology template, in contrast to homology directed repair, which requires a homologous sequence to guide repair. So here you can see this is the template, and a precise DNA editing occurs when repair occurs via homology directed repair. So if the new DNA sequence with the regions of homology is provided as shown over here, HDR will use this template for repair of double strand break, and this allows for new gene sequence to be inserted, to be integrated into the genome. We call it as gene knock-in. So among the genome editing technology, CRISPR-Cas9 is a very powerful gene editing tool. And while CRISPR-Cas9 remain dominant, alternative gene editing techniques continue to emerge. Technologies such as TALENs and zinc finger nuclease offer complementary approaches for targeted gene modification. Therefore, understanding the advantages and limitations of these techniques is essential for staying updated in the field. Then advanced genetic engineering techniques include high throughput methods for making multiple genetic modifications simultaneously, such as synthetic chromosome synthesis. So synthetic chromosome is a total synthesis of DNA to replace a natural chromosome or even an entire organelle chromosome, such as plastome genome. Artificial or synthetic chromosomes and genomes would allow the assembly of large number of genes in a self-replicating molecule. Like in eukaryotes, chromosomes are linear DNA molecules with the proper sequences for replication, that is origin of replication, and integrity. For integrity, that is telomeres are there, and centromeres for segregation in dividing cells. So East chromosome 3, which is around these much bases, 316, 617 bases, was replaced with a laboratory synthesized chromosome, which is 272871 bases. The chloroplast genome, which is 1/2 to 1/3 the size of East chromosome 3, could forcibly be synthesized and inserted into a plant, such as tobacco, that is already amenable to plastome transformation. The use of artificial or synthetic chromosomes would permit the introduction of gene into the plants in a manner that does not have the potential to disrupt genes on native plant chromosomes at the site of insertion. As the cost of DNA synthesis continues to decrease, so experimental development in this field would be economically feasible. Then single cell genomics. Single cell genomics is the study of the individuality of the cells using omics approaches. It was with the emergence of next generation sequencing that single cell genomics really took off. As we all know, human body is made up of nearly 40 trillion cells of many different types. So recent advances in experimental biology have made it possible to explore the genetic material of single cells. With the birth of this new field of single cell genomics, scientists can now probe the DNA and RNA of individual cells in the human body. So here you can see the workflow of single cell RNA sequencing experiment. So individual cells, they are isolated, and gene activity is measured in each cell. So these are the cells isolated, these are single cell, and the gene activity, the gene expression is being measured in each cell, and the cells with the similar, so analysis is done and the cells with similar gene activity are clustered together to identify the various types of cells in the population. So single cell genomics allow researchers to analyze the genetic and epigenetic profiles of individual cell, providing insights into cellular heterogeneity and dynamics within the tissues and organisms. Single cell genome analysis has identified new types of cells in human body, discovered what make these cells different from each other, and how different type of cell respond to diseases or drug. Single cell genomics has also has proven key in the COVID-19 pandemic, identifying cells susceptible to infection and revealing changes in the immune systems of infected patients. So the availability of single cell data is continuously increasing, as our data set sizes with the recent experiments sequencing millions of cells. So single cell genomics, this technique has profound implications for understanding development, disease progression, and personalized medicine. Then gene drives. Gene drives are self-propagating genetic elements that bias their inheritance so they can spread through populations more rapidly. There are two main types of gene drives, natural and synthetic. As the name suggests, natural gene drives, also called as selfish genetic elements, occur in nature, and as such they can only arise through common evolutionary mechanisms. Natural gene drives occur in variety of organisms. For instance, transposable elements, they are mobile pieces of DNA that insert themselves into different parts of the genome, potentially inactivating genetic elements at their insertion sites. In fact, much of the junk in eukaryotic genomes originate from this type of selfish DNA. Then even homing endonucleases genes are another type of natural gene drive found in some type of plant, fungi, and bacteria. So they spread by cleaving a homologous wild-type chromosome and copying themselves into the cut site through homology-directed repair, a process called as homing. And through this process, individuals that are heterozygous for drive allele are turned into homozygotes. Thus, the chance of drive allele being inherited is greater than 50%, resulting in its rapid spread throughout a population. In contrast, synthetic gene drives are engineered in the lab to achieve a desired outcome, meaning they are not limited by natural evolutionary processes. Engineered or synthetic gene drives can be generated via various genome engineering methods and typically must be integrated into the target organism during embryonic development before subsequent development and release into the environment. So engineered or synthetic gene drives have the potential to control pests or disease vectors by spreading deleterious traits such as sterility throughout a target population. Like as shown over here, if one gene is altered, then one copy, as we all know that individual inherit the copy of the genes from the parent. So here in this case, if the individual inherit the altered gene from one of the parent and normal copy from another parent, then as only one copy of altered gene is inherited, there is a 50% chance of passing it on to the next generation. But in case of gene drive inheritance, using like if one copy is altered and we can alter it by using CRISPR-Cas9 technology, and if the normal copy is there, it can also be altered. So in that case, the altered gene plus the gene drive, in that case we have the two copies, so 100% chances of passing it on to the next generation. So CRISPR evolution has accelerated the field of gene drive technology, expanding the range of applications and making it safer for deployment. Now, kindly note, gene drive technology is still in experimental stage, but it holds promise for controlling vector-borne diseases, managing invasive species, and addressing agricultural challenges. Then RNA interference technology. Historically, RNA interference was known by other names, including co-suppression, post-transcriptional gene silence, that is PTGS, and quelling. So it's a biological process in which RNA molecules are involved in sequence-specific suppression of gene expression by double-stranded RNA through translational or transcriptional repression. So two types of small ribonucleic acid molecules, microRNA and small interfering RNAs, are central to components to the RNA interference pathway. It's a natural occurring process found in many eukaryotes and animal cells, and it is initiated by enzyme dicer, which cleaves long double-stranded DNA molecules into short double-stranded fragments of approximately 21 to 23 nucleotides, siRNAs, that is small interfering RNAs. So here you can see a simplified model for RNA interference pathway. A simplified model for RNA interference pathway is based on two steps, each involving ribonuclease enzyme. In the first step, the trigger RNA, that can be either double-stranded RNA or microRNA, primary transcript, is processed into a short interfering RNA by the RNase to enzyme dicer and Rocha. In the second step, small interfering RNA, they are loaded into a effector complex RNA-induced silencing complex called as RISC. So small interfering RNA is unwound during RISC assembly, and single-stranded RNA, it hybridizes with messenger RNA target. So this is the target. Translation is blocked, and as you can see here, messenger RNA is cleaved. So silencing gene expression by targeted specific RNA molecules offers insights into gene function, potential therapeutic applications. And RNA interference is a valuable research tool both in cell culture and living organisms, because synthetic double-stranded RNA introduced into cell can selectively and robustly induce suppression of specific gene of interest. Then synthetic biology. As any engineer will tell you, some of the most interesting work happens when you can design and redesign entire systems by making many changes all at once. In recent years, an explosion of advanced genetic technologies have enabled scientists to do just this. The result is an entirely new field called synthetic biology, in which the core principles of engineering, design, build, test, and learn can be fully applied to biology. So synthetic biology is built on genetic engineering and principles of design engineering, which provides control over the biological functions of interest. So almost everything done in synthetic biology is genetic modification. But synthetic biology and new technologies allows us to do it much faster, much more high throughput, and to find solutions to problems much more quickly. So it is the design and construction of novel nucleic acid encoded biological parts or devices, system machines, and even organisms, and their applications for useful purposes. So in the recent years, this field has witnessed remarkable progress. Scientists, they are developing novel organisms for applications ranging from bioremediation to biofuel production. So synthetic biology is used in field of environmental protection, medicine, information storage, agriculture, and biotechnology. The examples that scientists are producing through synthetic biology are like to clean pollutants from water, soil, and air. Microorganisms are harnessed for bioremediation. Then to prevent vitamin A deficiency, rice is being modified to produce a nutrient associated with carrot, namely beta-carotene. And then even yeast is being engineered for producing rose oil, which is eco-friendly and substitute for real rose that can be used by perfumers to make luxury scents. Now, don't get confused between synthetic biology and genome editing. No doubt, in some form, synthetic biology is same as genome editing because both involve changing an organism's genetic code. But both the processes differs in methods as to how changes in organisms are made. In synthetic biology, scientists, they stick together long stretches of DNA and insert them into the genome of an organism. Whereas in genome editing, scientists, they use tools to make small changes in the DNA of that organism. In fact, genome editing tools are used to add or delete small stretches of DNA in the genome. So these two techniques, the synthetic biology and genome editing, are not exactly the same. So aspiring life scientists preparing for CSIR-NET exam should stay abreast of these advanced genetic engineering techniques as they represent the forefront of research and innovation in the field. Additionally, understanding the underlying principles, applications, and ethical implications of these technologies will be instrumental in navigating the evolving landscape of genetic engineering in 2024 and beyond. Thank you.